Hey everyone. Hey. So I was having some technical difficulties before I could get the live stream started. But now that we're here, we are going to go over a perspective I got from this YouTuber right here. Her name is, her channel name is The Universe Guru. I really like her content, very authentic. And she has a good mix, kind of like my channel. Like there's a mix of beauty, there's a mix of health, there's a mix of course, relationship, there's a mix of the occult and spirituality. So I really like that. But anyway, in this video, I'm going to play it soon, but in this video, she talks about her experience being what she calls a fake independent woman, like a woman. She claims to be a slave girl. Like she calls herself or her past self a slave girl in that fake independent woman mindset. And I thought that was really interesting. So I wanted to share her perspective and talk about it and discuss it. And I'll give you guys my reaction to it. Okay, so this is a really important story. And actually, I just want to say something. So this woman is either Indian or Pakistani. I mean, she hasn't, in this video, she doesn't explicitly say which nationality, but just take note that Pakistan was part of India for a really long time. And I just want to say, like, I have a friend, like my best friend, like my childhood best friend, she went through almost the same exact experience as this woman right here. I mean, probably even worse, right? Minus the children. But I just want to keep that in mind. And that's really interesting as well, because a lot of Black women think that they are the only ones who suffer from mistreatment. And while, you know, the cultural distinctions are there with the mistreatment and with the preferences when it comes to dating and relationships and marriage, like women around the world struggle with men and gender roles and balancing masculine and feminine energies. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. So let's start.
And I'm really excited for this video because I think it's long overdue. I have never, I think, on YouTube shared my entire story of how I was this fake independent woman in my 20s and how I got just really taken advantage of in a relationship, and I was literally asking for it. So I'm going to share that exact story with you. And I knew that it was time to share the story because lately I have been attracting so many clients that are stuck in this situation where they are having to split the bills with their man, with their husband or boyfriend, or they invest in a man only to be left after he's like sucked you dry. And so I want to share my story with you guys. I've went through a lot in my 20s to learn these lessons, but the decisions that I made because of these things that I went through have changed my life. And I know I'm teaching my daughter and my sons a completely different frame of mind now. And I thought I would share that with you guys. Say hi if you guys are watching live. Hi, Janan, Des, Maggie.
Did you know 60% of mothers have ab separation and lower back problems? Many of us try.
So most of you guys have heard the story in bits and pieces. But when I was, I think I was like 22 years old, I got married. And soon after I got married, I discovered that a lot of what my ex-husband had told me about his job and a lot of things about himself were completely fake. And we were just really dumb and stupid and didn't check anything. So he used to dress really, really nice. He was very good looking, extremely charismatic. I mean, there were Bollywood celebrities that would come visit in Chicago, like for shows and stuff, that would want to get with him. So he was extremely charismatic. He drove a fairly nice car. Later found out that was a dad's car. And so he carried himself in a way. He spoke about getting his bachelor's degree at Oxford, in London, and he had all these stories, and we were stupid enough not to verify any of it. So when I got married to him, I, was in love. Like I wanted to please him. I would hide stuff that he would say or truths that I would find out about him from my family because I didn't want them not to like him. So long story short, I ended up building his credit. He had no credit. I ended up giving him a green card. He lied about his status. I ended up buying him, I think by the time we were done, he had charged up $150,000, if not more, on my credit cards. I bought him a condo. Well, we lived in my condo. I was paying for all the furniture in that condo was furnished by me. He used to only wear designer clothes. You guessed it. I bought all of that. When I got pregnant, he was very upset. He wanted me to get an abortion, and he made me sleep on the floor of the condo that I was paying for on the luxurious bedroom set that I had bought. And I was just so dumb that I didn't get it. Like, this is the time that I was, I had my real estate business, I was flipping properties, and then he would go around town telling everyone that those were his properties. The Lexus that I bought him, the $60,000 Lexus, he was driving other women, girls that worked at like Marshall Fields and like the Guest store, driving them around in the Lexus that I bought him. I remember this one time he was in my real estate office and he was sitting behind the desk looking like a king. And someone walked in and was confused because that was my office. And they're like, Mia, isn't this your office? Like, who is this? And I started to answer and he told me to shut up. In front of my colleague, he told me to shut up because he wanted to feel like a king sitting in my office. And that's how I spent a portion of my 20s. When I was pregnant and having his child, he was out dating other women and taking them to the club. Dumb women, feminine women, women that had no qualifications that he could be the king to, that he could be the provider for. So he was taking the money that I was giving him and spending the money on women that he could feel the king with, because I couldn't give that to him. And of course, it was a really devastating process to get that divorce. It was really sad for my son because I remember just saying to him, like, I get that you don't love me. Like, I get it. I see it. But how could you not love your own child? And he said, that child is like trash to me. It's like a child off the street. Like, go on there with your child. I told you I didn't want this child.
Okay. So, I mean, her story, first of all, I think she's extremely brave for sharing this story. If all of that happened to me, I don't know if I'd be able to be brave enough to do what she is doing and sharing her story. So I really applaud her for that. And I really like her content. She has a lovely, lovely personality. But I just want to talk about something that she mentioned earlier that she's going to get into more detail later. But she called herself a fake independent woman because she was basically a slave woman to her quote unquote husband, who lied about everything, who lied about him having money, who lied about him having a green card, who lied about, himself being like a high quality man. And he was a horrible person because that man didn't even want his child. That man was using her. Shira says this all the time. I say this all the time. We repeat it over and over and over again. And of course, there are a bunch of male trolls that come in and say, no, 50-50. Why would I invest in a woman? But I don't know if these men are conscious of it or not. I'm sure some of them are, some of them are not. But at the end of the day, if a man is not providing for his woman, he is not going to feel masculine with that woman. He's just not. It is something hardwired into the male psychology to want to provide and protect. If they are not doing it, they're not fulfilled on a deep level. Okay. So she gives her story, and I'm telling you, the title of the video is called "The Real Independent Women Have Providers," right? And that is because when you have a provider, when you have someone who is supporting you, who has got your back, you are free. You are free to start your own business. You are free to start your own streams of income. You are free to invest. You are free to blossom and expand and grow and gain because you have someone holding it down for you, being the foundation for you, right? Now, the title is specifically for women in relationships. It's not for like single women who are just out here doing their thing, right? Because a lot of women can do their thing. Like in the video, she says, you know, I don't need to be with a man if he's not providing. She's like, what is the point of being with a man if he's not providing? When, you know, I could do bad all by myself. She said I could do bad all by myself. And that is the thing. Like, I'm telling you, ladies, if a man is not providing, he is holding you back and he's holding you down. Okay? So, but, you know, a lot of people, they troll me. They think, you know, what I'm saying is wrong. So I'm just going to really present another woman's perspective who isn't really in the level up. She's not in the level up like circles on social media. This woman is more so in the spirituality realm of social media, right? I do some of that content on my channel, but my channel is very mixed, and I'm very much so involved in these conversations around relationships, hypergamy, quote unquote gender wars, right? But I really wanted to kind of present her perspective because she's a fresh face, she's different. I know a lot of you probably may have heard of her, but she's not really mentioned in the whole like Shira circles, hypergamy circles. So let me see. BC says, I saw this video earlier this week. It transformed my definition of an independent woman. So here's the thing. If you're interested, like if you like watch Shira's content, she also did a video similar to this where she explains that, you know, I think that Shira video is called The Kept Independent Woman, right? So Shira also did a video that was similar to this. But yo, her story is a true testament, okay? Like I want y'all to listen because I feel like with her right here, the Universe Guru, that's the name of her channel. I feel like her testimony is a bit more powerful because she went from all the way over here to all the way over here, right? Like she has experienced the range of relationships. And she talks about the cultural differences. I don't know, I love this video. I mean, I absolutely loved it. Yeah, I mean, BC says her ex-husband made her a placeholder wife. Absolutely. She said, I built that man up for another woman. And she did. And this is why I tell, you know, I really encourage you ladies never to build a man, never to provide for a man. If you are living with a man, there's absolutely no reason for you to be paying any type of bill. Because whether the man knows it or not, whether the man is conscious of this or not, you are emasculating him. He wants to feel like this big, strong protector and provider for a woman. So if you are paying a man's bill, he's probably going to turn around and pay other woman's bills, right? And if he's a good guy, and if he's like a good guy, he'll probably turn around and pay like his sister's bills or his grandmother's bills or his mother's bills, right? He'll take care of like a female figure in his family if he's a good guy. Now, if he isn't that good of a guy, he's probably going to turn around and get like some side chick or some little sugar baby and use your money to feel like a big, strong provider man. Okay, so I'll let this run.
And later on, when we got divorced, I found out from some, joint friends or whatever, that he had gone back home to his country and married someone who wasn't an independent woman, who didn't have a job, who wasn't very educated, who then he could give a green card to, who he could buy a Lexus for, who he can give money to, and who was going to let him be the king. Because you see, he couldn't be a king or a provider with me. I was the woman that helped build him up for another woman. And I'm sharing this very embarrassing story, highly intimate story and personal story with you guys, because this is what happens to independent women. So I'm here to tell you that this whole myth of the independent woman is bullshit. I am more of an independent woman now, being a stay-at-home mom where my husband is the full-on provider, than I ever was trying to be the independent, educated, all that stuff, right? I'm not saying education is wrong. Like, I got my education. I'm still getting my education as much as I can. I want my kids to have their education. But if that's what you're leading for, I'm sorry, you're a slave girl. You are not an independent woman, because I have been the slave girl. And it's so messed up, because at the time in my life where I was making all this money and I had a kept man,
Mm.
Oh my God! Hello, Scott. Yep, it's me.
Okay, I'm just gonna stop it right there and say, mind you, she is calling her past self a slave girl in retrospect. So when she looks back and she's like, oh yeah, I thought it was this big, strong, independent woman who paid all the bills and my man wasn't contributing. Like she said, she paid for the condo. She paid for all the furniture. She paid for a Lexus. She paid for designer clothes for her man. And this man was driving other women around in her Lexus that she bought him. He was using his designer clothes to attract other women. He was lying and telling people that her real estate business and her real estate properties were his. Like, I mean, this is what happens. And like in my last video, I showed you of this 49-year-old woman who invested 100,000 pounds into her boyfriend's house, and then her boyfriend dumped her. Y'all, listen, I'm gonna say this again. If a man isn't trying to provide for you, he is using you, and he does not really want you. He doesn't have your best intention in mind. Okay, Pink Cat. Her channel is the Universe Guru. She's awesome. I like her. I like her a lot. And she brings like a fresh perspective to relationships. And, you know, she isn't so intertwined on this side of YouTube where there's a bunch of talk about like leveling up and hypergamy and like the gender wars and like communicating with MGTOW men or whatever. She's just over there in her little corner, talking a lot about like spirituality and stuff. So it's refreshing to hear this perspective coming from someone in another area of YouTube. Okay. But I mean, her testimony is like crazy, but it's crazy in a good way.
Thinking that I'm the independent woman, I felt like a slave girl. I did not feel like an independent woman at all. I remember he would trick me into paying his phone bill and things like by saying these manipulative things, and then he would say, "You're so smart," like almost like I will allow you to pay my cell phone bill kind of mentality. And I'm here to tell you that is not independence. That is not independence at all. I heard this religious scholar years ago, I would think I was like 17, say something, which took me almost a decade to understand. But now that I get it, I get it. When you know, right? It was this Muslim scholar, and he said that today's woman doesn't want to be a slave girl to her husband. So she goes and becomes a slave girl to 30 men at her work. And that's okay. And that's independence. And it resonated with me, but I didn't really get it until about at least a decade later when I was left in that ruined situation after the nasty divorce and the emotional breakdown. And just, I went through so much because it was like he came and he took and he took and he took. And before I could even realize what was happening to me, like my life was in shambles. And that was the day that I decided that if I ever get with a man again, that he was going to be a provider and I was going to be a queen.
Absolutely. And you know, that's the thing. Unfortunately, for some of us, we have to go through something like that in order for that moment to just click and we just like hyper focused on playing a specific role in a relationship, on, you know, fulfilling a specific gender role in a relationship. Like sometimes it takes something as traumatic as her experience to just kind of tip everything over and for you to be dedicated to a specific goal in life. And again, you know, the title of the video, I'm not saying that, you know, if you are a single woman, you're not an independent woman if you're providing for yourself. Of course you are. But again, the title of the video is specifically about women in relationships. Like if you are a woman in a relationship and you are like a primary, you know, if you are the primary breadwinner, or if you are going 50-50 with a grown A man, then you know what, you're not really an independent woman. You are what the universe guru would say is a slave girl. And if you think about it, I mean, that's pretty much what you are, right? Like women who work are expected to provide 50% of the bills, but also do the majority of the domestic labor, like cooking and cleaning and watching and caring for the children and being a chauffeur and doing all of these jobs that if they were paid to do those jobs, they would have well over a six-figure income, right? So if someone did the job of a nanny, caregiver, chef, chauffeur for the children, financial assistant or planner for the family finances, like just those 5 jobs there, if they actually went out and did those jobs, maybe, you know, a couple of them would be a full-time job or part-time job, and then a couple of them could be like little side gigs. If they did all of that stuff, they would have well over a 6-figure income. So if you're doing all of that for free for a man that you are married to, and then on top of that, you provide half of the bills, half of the rent, half of the living expenses, you are, in my opinion, a slave girl, in her opinion, a slave girl. Like, why are you doing all of that free labor for no reason? Okay, so I'm going to let this run.
Because I can be suffering all by myself. Thank you very much. In fact, I was doing just fine before I met this guy. Just fine.
I mean, look, I'm gonna rewind this, but I say this all the time, all of the time. I mean, we can do bad all by ourselves. Like, if a man is not providing, what's the point? What is the point? You can do bad all by yourself. You can be single and do bad all by yourself, and then have the countless opportunities to meet men who will provide for you. You know, people are like, oh, are you single? And I'm like, yes, thank God I'm single. And they're like, wait, what, why? I'm like, because I'm free. I'm free. And I'm not tied to a man who can't provide. I'm free. I'm free to date. I'm free to accept gifts. I'm free to accept assistance, financial assistance from men who are trying to court me, from men who are trying to date me. I'm free to do all of that. I am free to receive more when I am single and not tied to a man who isn't providing. If you are tied to a man who isn't providing, you completely cut out all of your opportunities to get a man that actually will provide, or to have several men in your life that provide. Like, you are missing out if you are with a man who doesn't provide fully for you, because you could just be by yourself and get a little sprinkle here, get a little money here. And it's like, what's the point? Okay, so I'll let this run.
Phone bill kind of mentality. And I'm here to tell you that is not independence. That is not independence at all. I heard this religious scholar years ago, I think I was like 17, say something, which took me almost a decade to understand. But now that I get it, I get it. When you know, right? It was this Muslim scholar, and he said that today's woman doesn't want to be a slave girl to her husband, so she goes and becomes a slave girl to 30 men at her work. And that's okay, and that's independence. And it resonated with me, but I didn't really get it until about at least a decade later, when I was left in that ruined situation after the nasty divorce and the emotional breakdown. And just, I went through so much, because it was like he came and he took and he took and he took. And before I could even realize what was happening to me, like, my life was in shambles. And that was the day that I decided that if I ever get with a man again, that he was going to be a provider and I was going to be a queen. Because I can be suffering all by myself. Thank you very much. In fact, I was doing just fine before I met this guy. Just fine, providing for myself, getting my education, on the right track. He derailed me.
So I think her story is so powerful because she made a complete, 180, right? She turned everything around. Like I said before, and like she's saying, you can do bad all by yourself. There's absolutely no reason to date a man who isn't providing for you. A man who doesn't provide for a woman doesn't want that woman and is using that woman. Point blank, period. If he's not providing, he's using you. There is no middle ground. There is no, half of this, half of that. It's straight up, if that man isn't inspired to provide for a particular woman, he doesn't really want that particular woman. Well, he wants the woman for the benefits, like whether they be monetary benefits, financial benefits. He wants to use that woman as a Bob the Builder chick so he can build himself up for the next woman, right? Hey, Jessica Higgs. Hey. Sacred Sacral says my dad was listening to this in the car with me, and he gave a very dusty response. Yeah, most men will. Most men will. Most men are not actually in the position to provide. But you know what? When women change their standards, if women change their standards to not entertain a man who will not provide, men will start providing. But it has to be collective. And it has to just be like a... Okay, let me see. Let's see. M. Dixon. Hey. So, okay, Fighter is saying men are more than providers. They are mechanics, therapists, garbage men, security guards, masseuses, etc., etc. Yeah. Fighter, they do all of these things in order to provide. And if they're not doing these things to provide, then they don't deserve to have a woman in his life. Why? Here's the thing. I say this is outside of the topic of this particular video that I am showing. Women take on the vast majority of risk when interacting with men. Okay. If that man doesn't outright offer something of value to you in the form of some type of security or safety or stability, financially, physically, then there's absolutely no reason to interact with that man, because that man is a danger to you. We see this over and over and over again, right? Women still face high levels of domestic violence from intimate partners. Women still are killed for rejecting a man's advances. Women are killed for being raped by their male family members in Eastern countries. I lived in Jordan, where women were killed if they were raped by a man, by her brother, by her father, by her male cousin, right? Men are risky. Where is the reward for this risk? If the man is not presenting a very clear, tangible reward, there's no point in dealing with the man. The statistics show us, if you look up United Nations gender equality, they have a whole list of ways that men oppress and threaten and attack women daily on systemic levels, on institutional levels, and on the individual level. So if a man is not providing any benefits, any rewards for this risk, what is the point in dealing with them? Okay. And a large percentage of men do this. Okay, let me see. Who is BC? Absolutely. No, BC, I mean, I agree with you. And hey, Machiavellian Empress. Hey, girl. I just really love this video, and I'm showing you guys this video. This is a woman on YouTube. Her name is the Universe Guru, and she's awesome. I think she's of Desi ancestry, so she's either from India or Pakistan. And her main focus is on spirituality and law of attraction. But even this woman over here in the little spirituality section of YouTube is preaching the gospel. She is telling everyone the importance of a man being a provider. And any man who doesn't play that role does not deserve any type of woman in his life. He doesn't deserve it. And if a woman is entertaining a man who doesn't provide, she doesn't know her value, or she's just has a low self-esteem, or just has been completely brainwashed. Point blank, period. BC says provision is given in different forms. A man's greatest responsibility is financial provision, however. Okay. Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I mean, like she said, there's no point. She's she would never deal with a man who isn't a provider. And I'm the same way. If I have to work in a relationship, I'm just going to be by myself. I'm going to be alone, because I can work alone and have opportunities to date multiple men who will provide. during the courting process, during the dating process. Men will provide for you. Men will give you financial assistance. Men will take you on trips. Men will give you gifts. You can get that from multiple men if you stay single instead of attaching yourself to a man who doesn't provide. What are you going to pick, ladies? The choice is yours. You're going to pick to stay with a man, to tie yourself to a man who doesn't provide, and miss out on all these opportunities to date multiple men who will do a lot for you. Like, you're missing out. You're really missing out. Tara Santos. Tara Santos says men only value what they invest in. Absolutely. And this woman talks about it. So I'm going to get back to the video. I love her. She's amazing. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, let's get into it.
He derailed me. And I was pretending to be a faux independent woman. And so I knew my worth after that point, that if I was ever going to give my energy to a man again, he was going to be providing. Because independence looks like waking up whenever the F you want to wake up. Independence looks like working when you feel like it and not working if you don't feel like it. Independence means when you have your baby and you feel like taking 10 years off, you can do that because someone's got your back, because they love their child and they love you.
There's one thing that's harder than business is relationships.
That's right. And we know that because we've been married over 20 years.
And at the beginning,
That's what independence means. Independence does not mean I'm not going to be beholden to a man, so I'm going to be beholden to my CEO, president, vice president, all the other nasty guys that are hitting at me when I'm at work. No, thank you. I'd rather be hit on by my husband, thank you very much, in the comfort of my own home. So this is something that I think we really have to wake up to. I haven't made a very outspoken, loud video in a while, but I keep seeing these women, and especially, oh my God, it's like the new generation of Indian and Pakistani and Middle Eastern women, like we used to know this stuff, remember? It's in our bones. It's in our DNA. I'm
just going to make a side note. So she's talking about her experience being like an Indian or Pakistani woman. And, she's grouping these groups together. She's grouping these, cultures together, right? Like she's grouping Indian, Pakistani, and Middle Eastern, even though like they are a little distinct. I used to live in the Middle East for a while, like 6 years on and off, right? And I'm so happy, like as a Black American woman, who comes from a culture where the women usually hold it down for everyone, right? Where the women are the primary breadwinners. I'm so grateful that I spent that time abroad where men would look at me like I was crazy if I pulled out my wallet for anything. If I pulled out my wallet for anything, a man, I remember when my first week in Egypt, I was running around looking for apartments. And I'm in Cairo, crazy big city, just chaos everywhere. And this another young man came along with me to help me look for apartments, right? And I go to a kiosk. I'm like, I'm really thirsty. I'm going to get a snack and some water. And I go to the kiosk and I pull out my wallet and I'm about to pay for my own snack of water. Because I'm like, I just met this guy. I don't expect him to pay for anything, right? Like I just met him. I reach out to pay the man at the kiosk, and he was like, you are in Egypt now. He was like, women don't pay for anything. At first I was like, wait, what you mean? Like, what you mean? Like, I'm not gonna let him pay for anything. But they were like, no. When you are in a man's presence, that man has to pay. Lo and behold, the young man that was with me, he pulled out his wallet and paid. And I'm like, don't do this. Don't pay. Don't listen to him. He's like, no, I have to do it. I tried to give him the money back and he would not take it. Y'all, this is the difference. And what she is saying is absolutely factual and true. Like, as a person that's lived in that region for 6 years, what she is saying is true. I was 19 when I traveled to Jordan for the first time, like, and lived there for like a year. Okay. All right, let me look at some of these comments really quick before I get back to the video. So BC says it's interesting that she does not support girlfriend boyfriend phase. You're either single, engaged, or married. I just can't picture that with Americanized men. Hey, that's fine. Like, but here's the thing, BC. Like, women don't understand. A lot of women don't understand that they set the tone for the dynamic. So if women all decided, hey, look, we're not gonna do this 50-50 thing no more. I'm not really, because I'm personally, I would rather be single than do 50-50 with a man. I would rather be single, because when I'm single, ain't nobody checking up on me, ain't nobody calling me, talking about where you at, ain't nobody, keeping tabs on me. I can go date anyone I want, get gifts from anyone I want, get trips from anyone I want, get financial assistance from anyone I want who's courting me. You are free when you are single. Don't take what you don't want. If you are a woman and you don't want a man to go, if you don't want a relationship that's 50-50, then don't take it. You have the power. Completely ignore and reject what you don't want. You don't have to entertain it. Just pretend it doesn't exist. If a guy who's coming to you, he wants to date you, but he wants you to go 50-50, just be like, I'm sorry, I don't do that, and move on to the next one and act like you never met that guy. It's really that simple. And also, like, in the meantime, while women in America, in the Western world, are setting that type of dynamic and setting that tone for that type of relationship dynamic, you can be dating men from these countries. A lot of them come here. Just be careful they don't use you for a green card. But like, a lot of them come here. You can date them. You can experience, if you're not in the position to just go travel abroad and live abroad like I did, you can just date these men. Arab men are here. Indian, Pakistani men are here. Like, just date those type of men. Only entertain them. So Jessica Hicks says, I think all people care most for the value that care for and value the things that take a lot of investment, time, money. Absolutely. Right? Like, you feel proud when you have taken the time to earn something. And men are very much like that. Men love challenges. If a man has to go through a challenge and he's finally able to like achieve something, he's going to feel accomplished and he's going to want to like hold on to whatever he obtained, that he had to go through obstacles and challenges for. So that, I mean, like, women, when you just give up, your time, attention, and especially your body freely and just like all willy-nilly, like, he's not going to appreciate that. I said this in one of my other live videos, like, how when you get like something for free, you don't really appreciate it. Like, oh yeah, that was just like a little free t-shirt that I got from some camp. And like the t-shirt is like all ripped up and like under your bed. Like, you don't take the time to wash that and fold it and hang it up. Like, you don't take the time to do that with that t-shirt because it was free. It's the same thing. Honestly, men treat women the same way. A woman that just like gives of herself, gives up her time, gives up her attention freely, she gets treated as like, replaceable. She gets treated as like she's just this fungible object because the man didn't have to work or earn her attention, earn her trust, like earn her time. Right? So, all right, let me look at some of these comments. Marceline Supernova says, it doesn't even have to be physical danger from men who have no wish to provide for the woman they're with. It can be emotional. Absolutely. It can be emotional and financial danger, like the case with the woman in the video. Absolutely. I agree, Supernova. I absolutely agree. No, she, and I mean, like, I don't know, like, she didn't give all the details, but like, I mean, she's giving a lot of details, but she didn't mention any type of physical abuse. But what she is mentioning is definitely financial abuse. It's definitely emotional abuse. You are absolutely right. Men in general are just very dangerous, right? Like, men are usually the aggressors. Men are the ones that usually start wars. Men are usually the ones that rape and assault people. Prisons are usually, male prisons are usually very, very populated. Female prisons aren't so much because women do not have the tendency to be as aggressive and violent as men. Do some women, participate in violent and aggressive activities? Yes, they do. But they don't have the overall tendency. And the numbers show that. So Clerk Trent says, what's the matter with him? Take the money. I don't know. The Machiavellian Empress says, yeah, I've had Muslim men court me, and this is facts. I have 2 Arab uncles, and they provide fully for the wives. Absolutely. Honestly, and Arab men, like, they have a wide range of like understandings of beauty, right? Like when I moved to the Arab world, it was so good for my self-esteem and so good for me to see the other side of things because number one, I got to see a bunch of women very feminine, being taken care of, like, and I was able to adapt some of those cultural norms for my own life. And I just learned a lot, you know, and I learned how truly feminine women operate and move. And I also learned that beauty standards aren't the same everywhere, right? Like in America, I was told when I was little, I was told that I was ugly because I was Black. And when I go to like these Arab countries, you have all these non-Black men are just completely, you know, bewitched by my dark skin color. They were just like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful because your skin color is so beautiful. And I'm like, I was told I was ugly for this skin color. So I just think it's really important for women, if you can travel, especially if you're a woman of color, because standards of beauty are not the same everywhere. And Black women, you have a lot of options, especially when you leave the United States. M. Dixon says derailed. Her relationship was a train wreck to begin with. Yeah, no, she talks about they were red flags. And I'm like, everybody like, no, they were flags on fire. Like they were flags on fire. Okay. BC says, I've seen people encourage women to casually date one man at a time, stating that is our responsibility to a suitor. What a shame. No, what a shame. Absolutely. You can't cheat when you're single. Date with a right girl. That's why. Okay. About your comment earlier when you said that she doesn't believe in the boyfriend girlfriend phase. That's why. Because it traps women. Listen, you single until you married. Point blank, period. Mackie Van the Empress says, honestly, I want to go live in the UAE and find me a big fish, if not a whale. Okay, girl. I don't really know about the Gulf that much. I did live in Oman, but I was just so isolated. I was in like a little rural desert village. I don't know. Anyway, Tara Santos says, I think you brought up the dating analogy. What is the worst thing men have to worry going out on a date? Just getting rejected. Absolutely. Like, no lie, Tara, no lie. They did a survey for online daters, right? They did a survey for men and women. They asked women, what is your biggest fear when it comes to online dating? A lot of women said, my biggest fear, the top fear, right? The highest percentage of fears that women expressed was, I'm afraid that I'm going to be physically harmed. Like, I'm afraid that I'm going to maybe get assaulted, maybe get kidnapped, maybe be raped. You know, like a lot of women were afraid of being physically harmed by the man. And that is completely warranted, because if you see how many men attack women that they meet online, it's crazy. Countless news, reports show that a lot of men will attack women that they go out on dates with. But you don't see the same numbers in the reports when it comes to women attacking men. Now, on the other side, when they did the survey, they asked men the same question. What is your biggest fear when it comes to online dating? You know what the men said? The men said, my biggest fear is that she'll be fat and or unattractive. Okay, look, there's no comparison. This is why I tell you women, do not entertain anyone that isn't providing for you, because men are risky. And men are not afraid of women like women are afraid of men physically, on a physical harm basis. Jessica Hicks says, I agree. When I visited Spain and Italy, they were in love with my skin tone and everything else. Women should definitely travel more. Absolutely. I mean, they're going to treat you like a queen because you're different. Like, if you think about it, Black women have the most unique phenotype. Like, most women throughout the world have, like, for example, no one but Black women have like this type of hair type, like Afro textured hair that you can do almost anything with, right? Like, you can braid it, you can twist it, you can wear it out in the fro, like you can straighten it, like you can do so much with it. Like, only Black women have that. So Black women have a very unique phenotype that a lot of other women don't have. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes men who are non-Black for them to like appreciate, for you to see that men appreciate that phenotype. But absolutely. Anyway, I'm gonna continue to roll the video.
I feel like, and I hope I can say this because I am also a woman of that nationality. You guys have so many limiting beliefs that your limiting beliefs have limiting beliefs. Like, you have to get over this shit that you are not an independent woman if a man is providing for you. The funny thing is that my husband says Mina is a very independent woman. But if you ask him what that means, it is not what you think. Independent woman to a high value quality man means she will allow you to provide for her, that she is emotionally independent. She doesn't need you, but she will allow you to care for her, to take care of her, to pay for her bills, to pay for her children. That's what a true independent woman means.
You know what? I like this. I really, 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 really like this. I love that she said this, because what I've noticed is a lot of men who have very little resources will say, oh, an independent woman just wants your emotional support. Oh, no. A man of means, in his definition, in the minds of many men of means, their definition of an independent woman is a woman who is emotionally independent, is a woman who is emotionally good, like is a woman that isn't emotionally needy, a woman who is confident, right? This is truly what an independent woman is, not a woman who just pays for everything. No, like, a woman's role is to receive. It is reflected in our organ, in our sexual organ. Like, it is, our role is to receive physical material things. Women tend to turn those physical material things into more. They multiply it, right? Now, don't believe the hype when a man tells you that being an independent woman means that you have to provide everything for yourself. Being an independent woman to a lot of men of means, it signifies that you are emotionally independent, that you are not emotionally needy, that you are confident. Okay? And I love that she brought this up. I love it. BC, you crazy. Hey, honey. Hey, girl. Arasanto says, Truby. Udi Akangu says, I'm learning, watching from Zambia. Hey, girl. I feel people outside of our race are infatuated with us. Be careful. Something like a fetish. Sometimes, yeah, definitely. 100%. Okay, all right. I'll let this roll.
Independence isn't trading one form of slavery to something else. So I think that we have to really, really get ourselves out of this trap of thinking that independence means sharing 50-50. No, ma'am, that's not independence. That's you being slave girl twice. You're being a slave at your job, and then you're being a slave at home. That is not independence at all to me. That is a lie that we've all been spoon-fed, and now we keep infecting our future generations. You want to learn? My daughter, she's 6, she's turning 7 in a few weeks. You sit her down and she will teach you what a healthy relationship looks like, and who provides and protects, and who enjoys and lives in pleasure. So we have to change this dynamic, because whatever you believe that you are worthy of, that's what you get. You don't even know your worth. And it goes beyond, like, I think sometimes this knowing your worth thing can be a little screwed up, because we think, oh, we have to know our worth so men are beneath us. No. That is not what that means. Knowing your worth means know your worth and know his worth as well. A man is way more worthy to himself and to you and to society when he is providing and protecting. That is how men see themselves. High value men, woke men, or men that have been put in their place and awoken by you.
We decided to make a big holiday dinner in our little kitchen.
Then we found out with Rocket Mortgage looking.
know how amazing it feels. My husband says things like, it is an honor providing for my family. I need you to need me. That is how a high value man thinks. So stop with this faux independence bullshit. How is it independence if you can't decide whether you're going to stay home today or not? How is it independence if you have to listen to 50 people at work and then come home and do the chores, and then your husband's going to tell you where you're going to spend your money? That is not independence. I remember when I was in my with my ex, I was earning all the money. He was wearing designer clothes, designer watches, driving around in a Lexus that I bought him, living in my condo, sitting on my furniture, and telling me what I need to do with my money. And I was a little bee that was following him around saying, okay, what else can I do for you, Your Highness? That is not independence. Let me see what you guys are saying. We've got some people over here. So who is stuck in here? And what do you plan on doing to get yourself out of this whole slave girl mode? I am so over women of all ages and backgrounds still being stuck in this slave girl mode.
You know, I'm happy this is coming from a woman like her who isn't really caught up into kind of like communicating with these MGTOW men. Some of these men come on my channel and troll. Some of them were in the chat right now, just a little while ago. I'm just so happy this perspective is being reaffirmed by a woman that's over here in the little spirituality section of YouTube, in the whole like law of attraction section of YouTube, right? I'm just so happy that you have a woman like her reiterating what we've always been saying. She is literally, and this is a woman, this is not a Black woman, this is not a white woman, right? This woman is from the East, and she is reiterating, when you are a woman who's paying 50-50, you're going out working, being a slave, being a servant to men outside of your home, and then you come home, and then you have a man looking at you with his hand out during rent time, talking about where's the half of the rent. Or even more, because in her case, she was paying all of the bills. She called herself a slave girl, and she calls women who go 50-50, or in worst cases, there are women that put out more, slave girls. I'm glad, Antoinette. So Antoinette Balami says, yeah, I don't ever see myself financially supporting a man. Good. You shouldn't. Ever. Anyway, I'll let this roll.
Those weren't red flags. Those were alarm bells. The things we do for men. Yes, because we forget our worth. And at the end of the day, when I really look back, I feel sorry for him. Because at the end of the day, he was with a woman that was consistently and constantly emasculating him. I remember like when he would be with his friends and he would say things like, oh yeah, I bought a Lexus. And I would be like, excuse me, you mean I bought you a Lexus? And when he would lie and tell people, yeah, we've got a real estate business, I would say, excuse me, you mean Mina has a real estate business? We bought a new condo. Excuse me, you mean Mina bought a new condo? That's what Mina did. There's no we here. You didn't contribute anything. And that, I'm sure, emasculated him, right? It made him feel worthless.
So yeah, I mean, she talks about how she provided absolutely everything for her ex-husband, right? And her ex-husband was just like sitting in her office. She had a real estate business, and she was only 22 when she got married. She had a real estate business. She bought her own condo. She furnished it. She bought this man a Lexus, designer clothes, and he's like sitting at her office desk like a king. And then when someone comes up and says, oh, I didn't know this was your office, she's about to answer. She's like, oh no, that's my office. He's like, shut up. It's crazy. Like, women, you will always suffer if you provide for a man. 100%. You will suffer. Her story is a huge testimony. She is not even in this little, like I keep saying this, she is not even in this little circle on YouTube where we talk about leveling up hypergamy and provider men. She's over there in her little spirituality section. If you want to go check out her channel, her name is The Universe Guru. She's over there in her little section preaching. She preaching. So Jessica Hicks, girl. Jessica Hicks. Girl. Jessica Hicks says, I don't understand how these men have so much time on their hands to visit women's videos. Most men I know do not have time to sit on YouTube unless they are on here to learn a specific topic or here, getting their money too. I mean, I don't know. Like I said before, high value men ain't on here trying to fight with us and argue with us. I just say that. Hey, X Tina girl. Hey, girl. Let's see. Let's say, Omega. He says, irony is your taxes say elsewise. Ooh, who you pay taxes? You pay taxes, Omega? Not everybody pays taxes. The wealthiest people do not pay taxes. If you had that information, you know that not everyone is a slave. Understand that entrepreneurs, business owners, and investors get the highest tax breaks and tax cuts. So if you fall in any of these categories, if you are an entrepreneur or an investor, you probably don't pay that many taxes. I mean, get educated. And I mean, I understand this knowledge isn't very accessible for a reason, but if you really knew what you were talking about, you'd understand that not everyone pays taxes. Did Amazon pay taxes on their billions of dollars of profit? Nope. Business owners and investors. This woman right here is in that category. I mean, she talks about investing in this video. But anyway, Nikita Bowles says, it's true. I worked full-time, cooked, cleaned, and satisfied his lusty needs. After 2 years, had nothing to show for it. Completely degrading. Girl, this woman on this video has the same exact story as you, Nikita. The same exact story. And I say this all the time. So basically, Nikita, you fulfilled the role of you had 3 jobs. Nikita, if you went out and you worked as a chef and you had your own little cleaning service, or you worked as a maid, and if you worked as a sex worker, girl, you would be highly paid. So understand that it is slave work to do all of this labor and not get anything. And the man isn't even providing. You are providing for the man. It's crazy. You hustling. You seriously hustling backwards. You seriously hustling backwards. And I thank women like the Universe Guru in this video. I thank women like that. I thank Nikita Bowles who share their stories. It really helps to encourage us all not to make these same mistakes over and over again, right? Like, so other women don't have to go through this horrible experience of being completely exploited. Okay, Apple Girl says, as women who have been conditioned to settle, but now a lot of us are waking up. Absolutely. And it's just happening everywhere. It's not just in this little, in my type of channels. It's not just here. It's like out there. Like I said, like she's not in the space. She's not in this level up space. She's not in this hypergamy space. She's not in these like MGTOW interaction spaces. Like she's in the spirituality space. Like go look at her channel. Her channel is The Universe Guru. Go subscribe. She has great content. She's not even in these spaces, and she's preaching the gospel. I don't know. Omega says they're going to jail. Okay, let's see if Jeff Bezos goes to jail. Okay, he didn't pay any taxes. Okay, let's see. Let's see. It's how you play the game if you know how to play it. All right. Anyway, I'll continue to let the video roll.
But he didn't know that he really needed that until, or maybe he did. Maybe that was part of his plan. But at the end of the day, I failed as a wife to give him the experience that he needed to fall in love with me.
Hey guys, can you believe that Amazon made billions of dollars and only paid 0 in tax? Isn't that incredible? That's absolutely crazy. The rich keep getting richer and taxpayers.
Isn't it funny that the ad about the taxes came on after this troll in my chat talk? I know. have a troll in my chat talking about people are going to jail for not paying taxes. Yes, people who don't know how to play the game. It's so funny. Girl, Supernova, you saw that, right? The ad came on right after. Amazon didn't pay anything in taxes. We are all not slaves here. Some of us are masters. I'll just say that. Some of us are masters. All right. And if you're on here and you're a man arguing with women, you're really gonna have to think about which role you playing, which role you occupying. You occupying the slave or the master when you feel like you gotta argue with a woman on my channel. But thanks for being here, because you helped me get paid, with the views, with the chats, with the engagement. Thank you. Thank you for helping me get paid. Okay. Yo, it's crazy. Anyway, all right, I'll continue. This is a great video.
Because the experience that we need to fall in love is very different than what a man needs. My grandmother used to say this, and I feel like I need to say this to you guys. She used to say that it takes decades for a woman to fall in love with a man. So if you are leading with love, you're already lost, because in all of the animal kingdom, and yes, we are just slightly evolved.
Okay, listen. This is really important. This is a very, very important part of the video. I don't want you to miss this part of her video, okay? She says that it takes women decades to fall in love. And I agree. Decades for women to fall in love. Because men have to prove themselves in their ability to protect and provide, okay? Now, she's going to start talking about other species who, that also have this reality of women taking decades to fall in love. Okay, let's listen. Let's listen. I'm gonna rewind it a little bit.
Than what a man needs. My grandmother used to say this, and I feel like I need to say this to you guys. She used to say that it takes decades for a woman to fall in love with a man. So if you are leading with love, you're already lost, because in all of the animal kingdom, and yes, we are just slightly evolved parts of that, right? In all of the animal kingdom, the man lures the woman in, showing her how many bugs he can catch if he's a bird, right? Providing. And then the woman picks what she wants. And I know that after that whole experience, when that switch flipped for me, there was nothing a man could say to me or do to me that was going to put me back into that situation.
Listen, y'all. Listen, she made a great point. In every other species in the animal kingdom, you have the male providing, right? She used the example of like a bird. She's like, oh, when a male bird goes to a female bird, the male bird has to prove his ability to provide the most bugs, right? And females typically are hardwired to look for masculine providers and protectors, because they are the ones that will become the most vulnerable when they are pregnant and when they are giving birth. And there's nothing more vulnerable than a baby, and there's nothing more vulnerable than a pregnant woman or a woman who has just given birth. There's nothing more vulnerable than that. Nothing. So it makes sense for females of any species to choose a great protector and provider, because she will need provisions and she will likely need protection, because she will be at her most vulnerable state if she does decide to immortalize a man by having a man's child. And people don't realize what women do. When a woman gives birth to a man's or a male's child or offspring, she immortalizes that male and that man. If you are going to, and understand that women who give birth to children risk their lives to do so. People love to gloss over this fact. Women still die during childbirth. Women still die from pregnancy complication. Women still die from postpartum depression. A lot of women will commit suicide because postpartum depression is that difficult, right? And then we're not even talking about the more shallow consequences as like effing up your body. A lot of women got stretch marks, and it's just like they're doing all of this to immortalize a man. The least the woman could ask for is for some provisions. If you're risking your life the least you can do is ask for some provisions and protection. That's all I'm going to say. And she gets into this. This woman gets into this. Okay, so business owners have legal rights to pay less taxes. They can write off someone. Yeah, we know that, but like, whatever. You know, this man, whatever. He's a troll. We can just ignore him, y'all. Just ignore him.
Never. I knew that that was never going to happen to me, and that is not what was going to happen to my children either, because I was going to teach them better. But I see so many of women in my community still falling into that damn trap. Like, you have to cut that out. Like, I have women that I'm working with right now that are in really long-term relationships, which with no status, just a relationship where they're doing the whole 50-50 thing. Guys, you have to cut it out. That is not a relationship. That is, I don't know what that is, but it's not registering as a relationship for him. It's not. When my ex walked away, like, he left with his green card and the money he stole from me, all of that stuff. I can't even say stole because I was freely giving him everything. He took all of that, and then he went and then he married someone way younger. That's another thing. I was only 2 years younger than him, and that is not the right way to go according to my culture, and my culture knows their shit. That's what I've learned. My grandmother used to say that women are emotionally, spiritually, and physically 7 years older than men. Never marry anyone under like 5 to 7 years, or never marry anyone under 5 to 7, what am I trying to say, older than you, right? So he was only 2 years older than me. Big mistake, because when he took everything and built himself using me, his credit, all of that stuff, he went and married someone way younger that he could then provide for, and he can feel in love with her because he's providing for her and investing for her. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I don't blame him at this point, because I get the rules now. I get how the game is played. I get what it takes for a man to feel like he's in love. A man that's providing for his family, notice that they walk differently. They've got their chest out, puffed out. They feel good. That's how they fall in love, when they provide for you. So women in the American culture who value love and chemistry more than actual values of how the genders work have one of the biggest divorce rates, one of the highest women on antidepressants rates. Like, you know, the women that try to teach me that, oh, no, then people would think you're a gold digger. Yeah, if that's what they think, that's what they think. But I don't want to be on antidepressants and burned out. And, you know, one of the biggest things, my mom used to point this out. I have to share this with you. When we were in real estate together, my mom and I, she would point out, she could like look at someone walk in her office and she could point out if that woman worked or not. And she would say, this one stays at home. And I would say, how do you know, Mom? Like, why are you always doing this? And she would say, wait, just be quiet and sit over here. And the woman would come and sit, and my mom would ask her a couple of questions, and then she would give me the side glance. And then when I started noticing that this woman is 100% accurate, I said, Mom, how do you know? She's like, look at her skin. Look at her hair. She looks like a woman that's not working out in the sun. Her skin isn't aging. Her hair is full and thick. She's not aging like the rest of us. And I started to notice, because her rate of being able to guess that who was a stay-at-home wife that was being provided for. And the truth is, don't even caught up. And if you're like, oh, I don't, I love my job. Have your job. Your money should be buying assets. My money, I'm buying VTI index funds, BND stocks. I'm buying right now my AT&T dividend stock. Just made like $100K in just the last 2 weeks.
Y'all, listen to this. She's spitting game on the low. Like, this woman is spitting game on the low. This woman is speaking in code. Y'all not really listening. She just said her AT&T stock made $100K in the last couple of weeks. She's telling y'all to invest. And as women, because our window for that peak youth and beauty doesn't last for long, we should definitely be investing. That's a little side note. But let me look at Tara Santos' question. Tara is saying, love is a Western concept. Many foreign couples don't marry for what we consider love. Absolutely. Like, here's the thing. Love is infatuation, right? Like in the American mind, we think of love as like, oh, this goo goo gaga feeling, butterfly feeling in it, but feeling in our tummies and stuff. But that stuff doesn't last. That stuff lasts long enough so that we can procreate, make a union, procreate, and like start a family. But it doesn't last after, several years of being with that same person long term, right? It doesn't really last the same way. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you still care for that person, but that, that new in love feeling does not last. That honeymoon phase always fades away. This is why marrying based on larger realities, right? Like one of my favorite sayings is nature laughs last, right? When we take into account our natural tendencies as human beings, when we think about how we, navigate in our lives, it serves us in the long run. Yes, like you don't feel all good and fluttery if you have to like stay with it. Like for example, a little while ago, she talked about how it takes women decades to fall in love, right? And I know like Xtina was in the comments like, decades? What you mean? And it's because, if you think about it, if a man is protecting and providing from you, if a man is protecting and providing for you long term, right? Like, let's say years, like 5-10 years. How can you not love that man? Like, he's giving you everything. He's giving you safety. He's giving you provisions. He's giving you security, stability. Like, how can you not really fall in love with that man? Like, we should be rising in love, right? Like, we shouldn't be just like falling in love because he cute. He got nice swag. He cute. Like, that's basic. That's super basic. Like, we think about the majority of human history, people weren't getting married for this infatuation honeymoon phase. People were getting married to merge kingdoms. People were getting married for political alliances. People were getting married for economic stability. People were getting married to merge wealth. People were not getting married because he cute. Because I think my baby's gonna be pretty. Like, that's people who are the masters of the world don't think like that. People who are the quote unquote master, people who run in these institutions, who have wealth, they're thinking about their future generations. They're thinking about, who am I going to marry to set my children up? They're not thinking about, oh, he cute. Oh, yeah, he got some swag. They ain't thinking about that. And this has been the reality for most of human history when it comes to marriage. It is only a very new thing for people to marry for love. Biwe Timbo says, I'm listening, girl. I'm inhaling the game and it's all I'm gonna breathe out for now. Good. I mean, even this woman in the video says it's a game, right? Like, it's a game. Like, she's like, I understand how the game works. I understand how to make a man feel like he's in love. He has to be protecting and providing to feel like he's investing. Men commit to what they invest in. Men fall in love with what they invest in, who they invest in, right? That's all. That's how they feel masculine. The more masculine you make a man feel, the more likely he is to fall in love with you.
That's what I'm doing with my money. I'm investing it so it can make me more money. That's what I do with my fund money. Spend it on me. I hire the best coaches. I do the best personal development programs. I create my own, whenever the hell I feel like it. Not because I have to. I knew I was never going to be in that position again, because if I need to struggle, I can do that on my own. Thank you. I don't need a man to struggle with. That makes no sense. In fact, the last couple of years, I read several books, or started to read several books by very famous celebrity coaches, female coaches, and then I shut the book and put it away after the first couple of chapters because they lost me at, I was standing broke at the grocery store and I couldn't pay my grocery bills. So I called my husband and said, this is never going to happen to me because I'm going to do something to earn more money. Wait, you have a husband and you can't pay your grocery bill? We have a problem.
Girl.
We have a problem. What is that man doing sitting at home while you were at the grocery store and you can't buy the groceries.
Girl, I'm gonna just leave it on that note. The ad is starting, and I also have some things to do. I need to be working on some assignments, but think about that. You have a grown A man that you're married to, and he's not doing his job protecting and providing, and you can't even buy groceries. That's a problem. That is a problem. Point blank, period. I'm of the school of thought that that is a problem. All right. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. You should check out her channel. Her channel is called The Universe Guru. She makes great content, a lot of stuff about spirituality, a lot of stuff about the law of attraction. But it's refreshing to hear a woman that's like on another side of YouTube who is preaching to the choir. You know what I'm saying? Like, she gets it. And she gets it because she comes from a culture that's rooted in these types of practices. She's rooted in a culture that is respectful and acknowledges gender roles and, you know, spirituality and the law of gender will support these arguments as well. I'll just say that. Okay. So I thought that was interesting. And ladies, one of the last things she said was, yo, I can suffer all by myself. Like if I can just suffer by myself. If I'm with a man, why suffer with that man what I can just do by myself? And like I say, my little spin on it is like, yo, when I'm single, I'm open. Like I can take help from this man who's trying to court me, this man who's trying to court me, that man who's trying to date me. I ain't stuck with no man who can't provide. That's why it hurts you in the end to date a man who cannot or refuses to provide. It hurts you because you're missing out on the men who will do it and who are not using you. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for coming through. Thanks everybody. All right. And I'll see you lovely people later. Bye.